The levels of depravity that this film sinks to is just uncomprehendable, especially certain scenes in the film. I'd never seen it before, so I was looking at something different to pick up, maybe something that might shock me, etc. I wouldn't exactly say it shocked me as such. I've seen some pretty grotesque films. However, like I say, it was very depraved. It was almost to the point of being just utterly revolting. I mean, some of the scenes are utterly revolting. It's disgusting. It looks nasty, like it's gnarly. It looks real. This is Trash Movie Matinee, and today's film is August Underground from 2001. So it's 24 years old. There's 2 sequels, which I'm still on the fence about picking up and watching, because this wasn't an easy watch. It was a difficult watch. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the film, what it's about. I'll try and outline some of the depraved things that occur in the movie, so that's a pre-warning to that. Obviously, I can't go into too much detail, otherwise the video won't get monetized. Not that getting monetized is everything, it's just might as well do. But so yeah, August Underground, it's found footage. It's a very shoddy looking film. Like the camera, I mean I think it's meant to look that way, but very shoddy looking. The camera works pretty atrocious. Like obviously they're using a low quality camera. It is from 2001, so everything's kind of blurry a little bit, and you've got a bit of kind of like distortion there, things like that. So basically it's these 2 guys. Starts off pretty nasty, showing a woman tied up. She's obviously been tortured and disfigured. She's in a basement, a very grim, grotty looking basement. And you got this guy's filming. One of the guys is just sort of like, you know, toying with her and things like that, and trying to scare her even further, although she's completely she's completely out of it. She's not even conscious to what's occurring. She's just tied up there like that. And you see a disgusting thing. They've obviously mutilated her in private areas, not downstairs, upstairs. They've done things there, like really mutilated her, and it looks, you know, very, very nasty. And then we cut and they're on the road. It shows clips of them, you know, in between the torture and the nasty stuff, you know, the torture porn, I'd just simply call it. You get things that are happening while they're on the road and the mischief they get up to, but the mischief has a sinister feel behind it. Especially one scene in particular, they start messing around in a gas station shop and really annoying the checkout assistant or the manager, whomever, the person in charge at the shop who's serving the customers. They end up annoying him. He chases him out the shop. The guy who's filming's, you know, mocking him and tapping on the window, things like that. You know, this is like behaviour that could occur like in real life. Anyway, the bigger guy goes back in. There's a nasty scene where he ends up really harming the checkout assistant. Then they realise there's 2 other customers in the shop, and this is all found footage, you know, made to look real, and it really does look real. It's got a very realistic look to it. The image is quite real, you know, it does look very, very real, like someone's just picked up a camera and gone, yep, let's just shoot this stuff. And, you know, they get this couple, they start, you know, beating them up, and they're both on the floor, and then they start saying to her, the female of the couple, you know, pull your trousers down, and then they say to him, go and sniff her backside. So they get them to do that, and vice versa, they do it to her too and say, go and sniff his, you know, backside. And yeah, it's just really, really mean-spirited. That's a big takeaway from the movie. Very mean-spirited. Some of the torture is unbearable. It's a bunch of like footage, you know, centered around the torture that's going on, and through the footage the film basically tells the story of how this woman is in the basement of these 2 psychotic, absolute maniacal killers. They're not even smart with it. They're 2 young guys, like 2 silly, like sort of idiotic types who go around just causing trouble. You know, there's a particular uncomfortable scene at the beginning where they pick up a woman in the countryside and start and say they'll pay her £20 to flash her boobs, and then it keeps going from there. Oh, we're giving you £20, and they keep wanting more and more from her. he takes her out of the car to conduct some sort of business as such, not literally business, sexual business. When she's on her knees, he just starts, the big guy, the sort of like chubby guy, just starts assaulting her and punching her in the face, just leaves her like in a bloody mess, you know. She's still breathing, as the camera guy suggests, but she's left in a pretty horrific manner, pretty beat up. There's that scene. One scene in particular makes the film absolutely sickening. It is just almost unbearable. So it's about between 15 minutes and 20 minutes in. I'm just going to say, let's say it's about 16 to 17 minutes into the film. Shows footage of this tied up woman, and there is a bowl of her excrement on the floor, because obviously, and she's kind of covered in it as well, and it's on the chair seat because she's just been left there naked, tied up, you know, being tortured. And it is disgusting. He literally starts playing around with the mess that's come from her and rubbing it on her wounds. It's disgusting, and it shows you in all graphic detail. I had to fast forward a couple of minutes worth of that, because there is a couple of minutes of it. Well, it seemed like a couple of minutes. It might only have been a minute or under of it. It's just that grotesque and nasty, disgusting, revolting, that I had to fast forward a little bit. I could see it on the screen what they were doing, but I couldn't just sit there for like a minute or so and just watch that depravity. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for like splatter films and crazy effects, but when it looks that real, it's that dirty, nasty and just depraved. There was just, to me, in a film, there's just no point to that. I mean, the film does have a kind of like bit of a rapey tone to it, but it doesn't actually show you any real like graphic rape, really. So it's not even like it's that rapey, it's just utterly dirty and filthy. That's enough of that anyway. So you got that revolting scene. That's the most heinous thing in the film. That's the worst scene of the movie, I thought. I found it a lot easier and more enjoyable when you're just watching the footage of them, perhaps like with the, you know, with the checkout assistant, like toying with him. I find that a bit easier to watch when they're just going about being really stupid. And, you know, it shows what these guys are like. They're absolute monsters of humans, you know. Awful men, awful young men. And there's a scene where they pull up. He befriends an old lady. He's trying to find out directions for somewhere near her house. He offers to take her shopping in. So the big chap, he goes in with her, and then the camera guy suddenly, a few minutes later, goes into the house, and he is beating the old lady to death. And they're going through her fridge, and it's just a realistic looking, dirty, filthy, nasty film with absolutely some inconceivable things in it. And the two main characters are just loathsome. Like, there's no redeeming qualities about them. They're just awful characters, awful human beings. You know, you would condemn them if they existed for the atrocities they commit. But yeah, it's got nasty scenes. You've got the two main characters are just pure nasty and as close to evil as you could get. It's depraved. It's got some depraved sexual stuff in there. They also have two like hookers later on. That leads up to like sort of telling the story through the footage of to where this woman in the basement's come from, who's tied up, just sat there squalling in her own filth. But yeah, a really sordid affair, this one, a really nasty piece of sin. One of the worst I've seen, just for that scene I described with the, you know, with the human waste alone, just makes it one of the worst things I've ever seen. I've seen some gory stuff and some nasty slashes and things, but even things with a lot of violence and extreme brutality, and don't compare to this. Just the levels of depravity is just unseen to my eyes prior. But that's August Underground anyway. I wanted to cover this on Trash Movie Matinee. Truly a piece of trash. Now, let's talk about where I've spoke about, you know, what happens in the film. If you fancy your chances and feel like testing your stomach, go ahead, you can pick it up. I bought this off Amazon. It's the Unearthed Films edition. It's a Region A Blu-ray and a Region 1 DVD, so you do get the feature on DVD as well. It's a 2-disc set. The Blu-ray's Region A locked. There's the cover. There's the back. Quite a few special features on there and things. It's an Unearthed Films edition. They do put out some nasty films. They put out some good stuff as well. They did the 2 Evil Dead Trap films as well. And yeah, So it's Fred Vogel's August Underground. There's actually 2 sequels that I'm very on the fence about trying, as I said at the beginning of the video. But yeah, picked it off Amazon. I think it was about £33, so it was an expensive one, but I just had to see it because I've heard so many things about it, and I just thought, you know, I'm going to try this one for myself. I went in kind of blind. I didn't know an abundance of facts about the film or whatnot, or stuff to do with the narrative, but now I've watched it. It's only 70 minutes long as well. 70 minutes of torture. And okay, did I like the film? No, and it's not because it was really depraved. If it would have had a better narrative and stuff, and I would have liked it. It's 70 minutes of just covering your eyes, because some of the stuff is just so depraved. Regardless, not the worst made film I've seen. I mean, the camera work is shoddy and that, but the idea behind it, I suppose, is somewhat interesting about what makes these 2 awful creatures tick. That could be considered fairly interesting, but it's such an uncomfortable watch. There's so many scenes that just make you sit there squirming. Like, it's nasty, like really nasty, really depraved, and I'd only recommend it if you've got a strong stomach, and don't eat your dinner too close to viewing it. You know, let the food settle in your stomach. You know, go with an empty stomach almost, because it is, for some people, this is going to be a very, very hard watch. It was pretty difficult for me, especially that scene I described, you know, the really filthy one. Ugh. That's August Underground anyway. That was today's trash movie matinee. I rate out of 5 stars. I will give this a 2 stars out of 5. So not very good at all. I didn't really like the film. I did find the footage when they're just going about doing crazy stuff that isn't overly depraved and just being absolutely idiotic. I did find those scenes a bit more interesting and easy to watch. It's when they show you the torture and the depraved horror that is a little difficult. But that's August Underground anyway, from 2001, 70 minutes long. It's an American film. It's just a complete piece of trash. Again, not the worst film I've seen, but it is a very trashy film, and it fits this trash movie matinee format perfectly. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll ever be watching that again. I will keep it in the collection, because I'd imagine, because we don't even have a UK release or anything, so it is a bit more of a difficult one to obtain somewhat. So I will be keeping that in the collection just as a curiosity and oddity. Don't know if I'll ever watch it again. Maybe in the future when I've forgotten about it. It's definitely not one you're going to stick on for enjoyment because you love the genre or anything. There's just no fun in it. No fun whatsoever. That's Trash Movie Matinee for this week. I'll be back next week with Trash Movie Matinee with a different episode. And I'll also be back in this week, later in the week, with some more videos for you guys. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you would please, and I'll see you on the next video. That's August Underground, a filthy, nasty, grotesque, revolting piece of trash. See you on the next video. Bye.